Welcome to an experience powered by Pipe TV.
The love of our community speaks. Real talks, real solutions.
Welcome to the Love of Our Community Speaks. I'm your host, Marcie Novella. We have a special guest in the studio today. Please welcome Felix Guzman.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Hi, Felix. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I just want to take the time to get to know you. And Felix is give the title you are?
Poet, community organizer, and advocate, and survivor of many broken systems, and yes.
And you are a life coach?
A neurodiversity coach, neurodivergence coach. Mm-hmm.
All right. Felix was on a show earlier last year called Justice for JJ. We're going to show the clip of Felix. Felix is about to say a piece to bring awareness.
So, my piece is untitled, just so it can give people the understanding that they can entitle it themselves how they wish to, because it's all about kindness. Kindness should be everyone's communication style. It should always be within reach and accessible. That means we choose to honor differences and learn how to build bridges to understanding and comprehension. Kindness is currency.
Thank you. Now, I want to thank you for coming back to the show. What inspired you to do your poetry?
I think for me, it's more of a survival mechanism for me. I'm of the belief that MFA is not necessary to be a poet or a writer, and I think that for me, it's more so just it's life affirming, and also life preserving. So I've been writing for about 31 years, and in that time frame, I've survived more than I could write, And for me, I think that that's the entry point for therapy for me. Yeah.
Do you remember your first poem you did?
Yeah, it was. I had written a poem for one of my classmates. I think it was 8th grade. That's when I discovered that I like girls, right? And I got friend zoned. Shout outs to TAR. Those are initials. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for me, it's more so. I just decided that I like writing. Long story short, there was a bit of a traumatic period immediately after 8th grade, and then I kind of got lost in PTSD and depression, and I discovered second semester freshman year poetry, through the Shakespeare, right? Being able to write a whole book in prose and verse and his own later on Shakespearean sonnet style. So yeah.
Does it give you comfort when you do it? How quickly can you write a poem?
It depends. I have a certain unique style, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes for about 16 lines, and it's not like Cat in the Hat and that, and like it's actually really complex, sort of like similar speech pattern. Similar to my speech pattern, I have a unique style that, due to neurodivergence, I can kind of go all the way around the world and bring it back, and it's like, oh wow, you took me on an adventure. So yeah.
And who have been your inspiration?
My 5 main poetry influences are, in no particular order, Tupac Shakur, Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, Emily Bronte, and William Shakespeare.
So what's so unique about these persons?
I think the depth of character, but also like the way that it's a mix of accessible terminology and also more eloquence or such, and just being able to kind of write from a cultural perspective of the time and also challenge the notion of like love, tragedy, trauma, and healing.
Well, when you were on our show, Justice for JJ, you came from a place of telling people to be kind to each other.
Yes.
I remember that moment because I put you on the spot, and those small words that you said
Yes.
went a long way. And I had got many people who had responded to me, and thank you for
Yes.
your kind words.
Yes. Yes. I'm currently working on creating an initiative called Normalize Kindness. Society has kind of normalized violence, right? And anger to be a communication style. Like if I'm angry, the whole world has to know about it, right? And for me, as a Quaker, and someone's committed to pacifism and nonviolence, I think that for me, I would rather my legacy be like long-term than shortened because of violence and reacting in a way that my freedom is impacted. So as a formerly incarcerated person, also rational abolitionist, I think for me, it's important to note that we are still responsible for the community around us and how that impacts us and how we impact it. So why not normalize kindness so that there's less of a want and or need where violence or taking or stealing or robbing and everything by force is normal. Like we don't have to harm one another to get a need met. A want met.
So, based on what you were saying, would you consider yourself more of a poet or a spoken word artist?
I would say poet. Due to having memory issues, it's hard for me to actually remember my pieces, so I'm more of a read off the page kind of poet or digital products of technology. So, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible to also be just as animated and also impactful by reading off the page also. So a little bit of everything.
Well, I've seen your work and seemed very convincing to me that it came from the heart. Mm-hmm. And I know it takes a lot to own your craft, but looks like you put in a lot of work and time and effort. And for that, I say thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Because the work that you do, it is inspiring to others. I've seen where you say things that is uplifting. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I wonder myself, where does that come from? Is that coming from someone's experience, or that's your own personal journey, and you just push through the words to let people know?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I write from a personal journey, not so much like other people's narratives and then like kind of present them as my own, like some people do. But I think for me, I'd rather just let my every word be an offering, and in that sense, like because of the conviction that kind of comes behind it, and the need to kind of always kind of live into that authenticity and integrity, as someone who has a very rigid view of the world, and also like trying to always be in integrity all the time. So I would rather be truthful than actually like betray someone for lies. So for me, I write to heal. I write for redemption, and also for folks that don't ever get the platform or aren't able to be as efficient with how they feel, speaking that into the air.
So you think about like people who, for example, are rap artists, and they talk about the environment. A lot of times these people are telling a story, but at the same time, that's not their story. For them to say that they grew up hard and they living in Beverly Hills and telling stories, how do you put yourself in a position where you're being truly authentic?
So I abide by a bread and water gospel, right? And that's enough. Milk and honey, if it comes my way, it comes my way. If it doesn't, I'm okay. And with that being said, I've been without, I've had excess, doing the wrong thing, right? And I think for me, I would rather be as close to nothing to keep myself kind of focused and also pure of, like, you know, again, I'm formerly incarcerated, so at one point in time I was causing harm for money. And I think for me, I would rather be as close to the art and the craft as opposed to being able to just write something that I could easily just attribute to, like, here, you know, ego. That's me personally, without condemning anyone. That's just me, you know. I just choose to actually, like, try to write history into when I'm writing, just because, you know, I feel that I have something to say, and I am getting a lot of great feedback from some critically acclaimed writers and playwrights and such, and I would really love to live into that, you know, like the kid from Crown Heights that wasn't supposed to survive when he was born, right? And someone that survived gun violence and institutional violence and has seen some things that, you know, that shouldn't be normal, you know? And that's what I mean about, like, for me, you know, there's the rose that grew from the concrete, right? And I'm just like the wallflower, you know, and the world doesn't honor the wallflowers, so, you know, I just got to change that.
Well, you're on the right path, and you have your redemption, and it seems like your heart condition is better. I can't read hearts, of course, but I've spoken to you behind the scene, and you've always been uplifting and encouraging and just trying to give good vibes to people. And I really appreciate you coming out and share your experience. When we get back, we're going to hear some of your poetry and wrap this up. Marcie Novella, The Love of Our Community Speaks. Just give us a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Love of Our Community Speaks. I'm your host, Marcie Novella, and I'm here with Felix Guzman. Now, Felix, you spoke about your favorite poets, not necessarily in that order. I know that Tupac was a lover of Shakespeare, and you mentioned some other people, Maya Angelou, and so forth, Langston Hughes. It's a nice combination of hip-hop, poetry. How did you come to that point where you could embrace that? Was there a teacher? Was there someone that introduced you to it, or this is something you did on your own?
I just kind of arrived at it by being provided either the books or hearing the music. You know, I grew up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, so early 90s, Tupac was on the radio. And also the late 80s, early 90s, it was very, all the music was Afrocentric as far as, like, pro-black. And, you know, growing up in Crown Heights, the influence of, you know, the islands and such. And, you know, so I kind of, you know, grew up with that influence. But everyone else I kind of just arrived at in school also. But
were you an avid reader?
Yeah. At one point I was, up until 8th grade, I was 99.99 percentile in the nation in reading and math. And, like, I was really excelling. And, like, you know, life, like, happened, and that's how poetry came to be, as far as my hobby and then passion. So, yeah.
Well, I had a teacher that introduced a lot of poetry to us in reading. Shout out to Mr. Crosby in South Carolina.
Yes.
Um, he gave us a lot of things to think about.
Yes.
Did anybody personally mentor you?
Actually, not until recently, but growing up, again, like the neighborhood, I went to MS 390 and PS 167 over in Crown Heights, which have different names now, right now. There was a music teacher, Genghis Noor, who was always like encouraging us to look into being our best selves and also representing for the community. There was my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Thornton. He actually talked about like traveling and including like talking to us in German and other things. So I think it's a combination of just being exposed and therefore like taking like the initiative to kind of like self-study. But for the most part, I'm self-taught. So I've got 31 years. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being self-taught.
No,
Yeah.
MFA is not necessary to change the world.
Well, your poems can change people's way of thinking.
Yes.
And one of the things that I noticed when I got to see some of your work was your deliverance. It's very important that you capture people's attention at the beginning, but the ending is just as important as the beginning. How do you get to that format?
I try to give myself maybe 10 to 15 minutes max to just kind of put things in place, and then I do things on like a computer or a phone or a tablet, and then I just kind of move everything around. But what I try to do is actually make each line be able to stand on its own, to be an intro to any other piece, or just kind of like a personal quotable quote, so that.
So do you type everything or do you write it?
So I type everything, and then also if you move the lines around, you can actually create like your own kind of poem from that. So it's literally like universality of like the lines can be anywhere in the poem and kind of still make sense.
Now I'm gonna ask you something really funny because this is a Brother Michael moment, okay?
Oh, watch yourself.
Do you ever think about using Coldplay as an enhancer for your poetry?
Coldplay is amazing. They have that one particular video, Daddy, with the claymation. It's just a beautiful song. But I'm working on trying to actually add music to my stuff.
No, Coldplay is a feature
Oh, I'm sorry.
that helps you.
I'm sorry. They said Coldplay, the band.
Co-pilot.
Co-pilot, excuse me.
Okay.
I said it wrong.
Okay.
Okay, co-pilot. Do you ever use those features to help with the enhancement?
I've never heard the phrase before, so do let me know what it actually is.
Well, it's like an editor.
Co-pilot. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
I said it wrong.
Yeah, my apologies. Not necessarily, because I want my work to actually like kind of really be as close to how I want it as possible. That actually includes like sometimes I have difficulty with actually putting words where they might be, and but again, like that's my style, right? Like, there are people who never took a class before and have written books, and at the end of the day, like I just want to be authentic in myself, and that's where I'm at. I did have a editor, a co-editor, co-pilot around my poetry collection coming up soon, and there weren't that many edits, but again, they were offered to me as possible edits, or I could just kind of say no, but I trust that it would still honor the vision that I had for the work.
Well, I'm thankful for you for coming to the show. And right now, I would like to just share your talent with everybody.
Yes.
Let's get started.
Yes, a moment. So, this is a piece, I Am of Trauma. It was actually a part of an exhibit that was done recently, and it was really great. It was really great. So, I Am of Trauma. Haunted by the amends I have to make, broken in the unforgiving grace I deserve, I am without respite. Why pray over me? I am ashamed. In captivity of the past I cry. Shed tears for me in eulogy who will. I am of trauma, consumer and rebuker, shipwrecked on the shores of redemption, just as it is the responsibility of the flower to bloom. I am obliged to become beautiful. Leading into gospels architecturally sound, healing more than breaking, I am free, knowing again the peace of yesterday. Narratives never proving eternal, self-medication providing ground floor opportunity. What I have now being abundantly mine, found in gratitude. I am my childhood dream. Thank you. Is that it? Okay. Oh, thank you. And if there's time for another one.
And
yes,
let's do your last
cool.
one.
This is one of my favorite ones that I kind of like to do. When breathing is an act of resistance. So never mind. When breathing is an act of resistance. Breathing is an act of resistance. The life giver to revolutions coming and gone. The breath coursing through lungs promised not to another. The undertaker of nightmares and conduit for all achievements. When all seems still, understand while we breathe, we move, gliding through the vacuum of space. Whether 10 toes planted firm or taking flight in dreams, when distance grows between truths being lived aloud, progress is made. As such, let us prepare. Let us prepare to fail, allow our fires to be reduced from overwhelming to diminishing to entirely overcome. We are gatekeepers. We are the love others seek for them. We are shipwrecks but still discoverable. We are poets with fortunes in our eyes, more than ever fathomable. We are our truths lived aloud. We are the communities you want built for those to pitter-patter after us. We are the legacies we write to hold space for us in our absence. When all seems lost and gasping between cries, look for correction and the words of poets past and present to remind you how to breathe when you want to give up. Refuse to see yourself as nothing. At times to weather the storm, all to do is live. So live with the understanding that when all seems too dark to endure, breathing is an act of resistance. Thank you.
So Felix, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Please tell everyone where they can follow you.
Yes. My socials are Felix Guzman 81 at TikTok, Facebook, Cash App, Zelle, Venmo. Throwing that out there. Support your local artists directly. Gmail, X, TikTok, and IG. And books coming soon. And I'm Googleable. So Felix Guzman, poet, community organizer, advocate. I'm out there.
Thank you so much. I want to say how much it took for Felix to come to the show. I've been trying to get him, and he's just been very busy. So thank you so much for coming out. My name is Marcie Novella. Please follow me on all major platforms. #Alvin Represents. And please check out my new book, Stupidity versus Common Sense, 10 Tips to Land Your First Job. It's available on Amazon. I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time. Good night, everyone.
Good night.